cutest job that you would give an orc in your campaign?
Oh.
And by job, I mean like the simple day-to-day stuff. So like if your team had like specific jobs just to do within your day-to-day or like living in the village, what is the cutest job you could think you to give an orc?
Cutest.
A nanny.
Adorable.
But they wear like the proper Miss Doubtfire out. They're male
Is this
too.
you trying to get an orc in a maid outfit, James? Are you like...
No, I can do that on anime easily. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's an anime. We're good
anime
to go.
unlocked, but no, different scenario.
But yeah, maid outfit, full Miss Doubtfire attitude, and the kids just love him.
Constantly
Anything
wearing a
goes
mud
wrong, any kid in town goes to him for protection.
I love it so much.
I mean, I don't know about cute, but I always like the idea of seeing an orc as like a guy behind a desk with his like suspenders and, you know, his little glasses
Tiny
and everything.
spectacles?
Yeah, like an accountant orc just sitting there like...
I'm an accountant.
1, 2, 3. Shit, where was I?
Are we talking spicy
7.
accountants?
Oh, yeah, it would have to be...
I mean, it would have to be.
Well, I mean, I think you could hire one to like cook your books by accident.
There
Right?
are air quotes involved.
If someone, you know, comes looking into that, you know, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it's just an orc account.
So Kevin from The Office.
I just realized I want to make Kevin from The Office as an orc. Done.
I love it.
Perfect.
It's a Mimic, the round table Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome to another episode in our conversation on playable races. I'm Dave, and with me today are Megan and James, and this episode is called Orcs, Playing Dumb. In our conversation about playable races in D&D 5th edition, we've already covered 3 kinds of dwarves, 3 kinds of halflings, and 3 kinds of gnomes. We dedicated 2 episodes to 6 kinds of elves, assuming you don't split hairs with the Eladrin, and 2 episodes on the many variations of Dragonborn. We've done half-elves, half-orcs, kobolds, lizard folk, Yuan-Ti, Dampier, Hexblood, Reborn, and the 95,000 kinds of humans in the Forgotten Realms. And of course, we dedicated full episodes to Tieflings, Aarakocra, Aasimar, and Genasi. You can find all these episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and dozens of other podcast apps. Or you can jump over to YouTube and dig into the entire playlist called Off to the Races that we've built there. There's quite a bit of lore about orcs, and episodes 15, 101, and 102 really dive into the lore and societies that are available in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition so far. Episode 82 covered what it means to play half-orcs, but what about playing the full-blown thing? Well, this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast takes a look at all the different kinds of playable orcs that you can use to build a character, and the panel of Dungeon Masters is going to see what roleplay opportunities exist out there for our muscle-bound brawlers. I know that orcs are Dan's favorite playable race, so I gotta say...
But they're not yours.
But not particularly mine, no. However, I have been fortunate enough to see enough of them wielded at a table that I'm pretty excited to kind of jump into this topic. Before we get started, though, Megan, James, how do you guys feel about the difference between what D&D has to offer orcs versus what Warcraft, Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, and other sources have to offer?
I don't know, it's hard to say in the sense that orcs within D&D 5th edition are developed specifically to be playable races, so you're supposed to give them a personality, whereas I find in other places where fantasy things are established and you're just watching something play out, they tend to be very personality-less.
Yeah, they're a mindless grunt that you don't have an issue seeing wiped out of existence in brutal ways. Like, if they had a personality, even if they were evil, you would be a little concerned about how some of these creatures we've seen in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, have died.
Oh yeah, like murdered.
Yeah.
Like genocide murdered.
Hard genocide.
Oh yeah, when they're at Helm's Deep, and I mean, I guess that's Uruk-hai, but like, they're rushing in and they just get absolutely obliterated. If that was the other way around...
Yeah, we would have problems with that.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, Dan would have problems with that.
I mean, they're supposed to be the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
They're tailor-made to do it. And I think that that's kind of one of the neat things about inserting them as a playable race is, I mean, James, I know you're an exception, but not a lot of people get to delve into the evil side of playable races in 5th edition. Like, you're supposed to get along. You're supposed to make it work, be more amicable to the party, you know?
Which does not make sense to me in the society.
In general. It doesn't make sense to you in general.
Well, yes, but in the society D&D exists in, where death is just around the corner, you would not be amicable with random strangers. You'd be very protectant of yourself.
But I mean, that's why backstories can be so important. But I feel like that's a different.
But yeah, it's a
story.
different
That's a very different
conversation.
conversation. The conversation here is orcs are people too.
Yeah, they more than meets the eye, right? Mm-hmm. So, very briefly, an overview on what we know about orcs. All right,
Let's do it.
what color are orcs? Do you guys know?
Gray.
There's 17,000 different colors.
They are mostly gray. On top of the regular gray orcs, there is,
Not gray orcs.
not gray orcs. Right? When I think of an orc, I immediately go to green.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not necessarily the way it is in 5th edition, right? What else do you guys think about orcs? I mean, I think like the big tusks.
Yeah, tusks. Usually wounds, not open wounds per se, but scars
scarring.
and battle regalia on them. Treasures from kills.
Teeth and bones.
Yeah. More
Yep.
visceral.
Missing an eye.
In a lot of cases, yeah.
Just grunting and yelling and
Yeah.
not really using words.
They got kind of piggish faces as well.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Upturned nose.
Pointy ears. They're almost elf-like in that. I think that's probably one of the most overlooked physical aspects of them is they're not just a regular
Yeah.
looking guy, right?
There's
They
always one ear bitten off,
Yeah, I kind of think they
All
almost
of them,
look like...
too. The same ear. There's just one
The left ear is
guy.
always bitten off.
At recruiting, he just sits there and just bites off the left ear.
They've got like big foreheads too, though, right? Like they look
five
almost...
head, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, at least. They look like Cro-Magnon man, right? They got a little bit of that primitive look to them where they're kind of, slouched over a little bit. And,
Well, I'm slouching over right now.
I mean, aren't we all?
We are. a
Actually,
little
we're
slouchy.
all kind of like leaning the same way. Like we've all got the left elbow
Left
on the arm of the chair,
Yeah.
holding our hands together, leaning that way.
I will say it's because I've been leaning the right way all day at work, and I realized my right side was hurting about
I'm
half
just
hour.
leaning into the microphone because I'm told I'm not loud enough. So
Well, I mean, compared to Dan, nobody's loud,
Dan
That's
yells.
right? But I mean, the other thing about orcs is they are relatively humanoid in stature.
Yeah.
They're bigger, but they're still humanoid. I mean, they
yeah.
They do get a bad rap. They are pretty much always perceived as evil, repulsive, stinky, dumb, ugly. They're raiders and pillagers, all not so good qualities. There is a lot of stereotype that goes on with orcs because I think that they're so involved in so many different fantasy settings, and they do kind of fit that one common theme over and over and over again. Now, have you guys ever played orcs or half-orcs?
No.
As a playable race?
Nope.
No? Okay, so there are a few like key differences between them. The half-orcs, they live a little bit longer. They aren't always evil, but it specifically says that they are usually not good.
Okay, not great. Not good, but not great.
Exactly.
Fair.
They can be a little bit shorter, right? So they're not
So
necessarily
they're
as
5'8"
tall.
instead of 6'7".
Yeah, I think between 5 and 6 feet it said instead of between 6 and 7. Like it's a little bit different.
Okay.
And then for abilities, they get the Relentless Endurance, which when you drop to 1 hit point, or when you drop to 0, you drop to 1 instead. And you can do that once a day.
Always useful.
Yeah, and they've got the Savage Attack, which on a critical hit, you can roll 1 extra damage die. So if you're going to roll, like with a longsword, instead of a d8, you normally on a critical, you'd roll 2. The Savage Attack, you get 3.
Nope.
Oh, imagine Great Weapon Master with that too.
Yeah, it gets...
Oh, you can stack some real damage into that.
Yeah,
Sorry, but you
especially...
can only use it once?
the Relentless Endurance can be once a day.
Once
the
a day.
Savage Attack is on a critical hit.
It's on a crit. Okay.
Yeah.
You can throw on the things that let you drop your crit down to an 18 too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few feats you mix in there, and you're a powerhouse with simple rolls.
Oh, I remember 3.5 with stacking abilities, you could get your crit range to be like 12 to 20.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I
Could
can.
you?
I
Fucking
can. It's
imagine.
great. And then you do like 600 damage because you've been maxed everything. Anyways, sorry, my 3.5 is showing.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Put it down.
On the other side of that, though, orcs, they get the aggressive trait, which they can use their bonus action to move towards an enemy, but they have to end their turn closer to the enemy than where they started.
Okay.
Okay? And they also get powerful build, which means they're considered one size category larger for carrying capacity, push-pull. Now, it's really easy to say that orcs are dumb and evil and just really lean into that. But you can do more than that with an orc. You can play them dumb intelligently, right? Not every action has to be a dumb action, right? Even dumb people are capable of smart things sometimes. You just got to play into their wheelhouse. Nobody's expecting a big buff orc to, be a good accountant.
But here we go. We've created Kevin the accountant.
Kevin the accountant orc.
One of us needs to play this in a game with Dan, and all we want to do is be in a town trying to account. Trying to disrail his whole game by trying to be an accountant.
What would you like to do? I pick up a hand of gravel and start counting
Can I go
rocks.
to the local shop and ask if they need help? I would like to help with their books.
No, my magical abacus.
My abacus. Fuck, I would love to hear that.
It's magical. It just gives you the wrong answer every time. Cursed abacus, right?
Cursed abacus.
But now, if he's already getting the wrong answer, and he has a wrong answer abacus, would he always be right? Double negative?
No, James, because there are varying degrees to being incorrect.
It's just extra wrong.
Right?
Extra wrong?
Yeah. It's like you can be a little wrong. It's like being off by, an inch or a mile, right?
It's like that episode of The Office when Kevin had a magical number that when he didn't know what the answer was, he just used the same symbol over and over again.
Oh, poor Kevin.
Sorry. Okay, go on.
But the important thing to remember when you're playing an orc is that they aren't always that stereotypical dumb. They can be very intelligent. They can do smart things. Maybe they're master tacticians, right? There's more to it than just being the dumb orc.
Well, they're battle ready. You have to be smart somewhere.
Yeah,
in their history.
And
right?
quite honestly, like seeing a player do that kind of thing is just annoying. Like, oh, I want to go do this and I want to go do this, and like, they're just leaning into it. Well, it gets kind of old.
Yeah.
At a
awful
point, right?
stupid, but like chaotic stupid.
Chaotic stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is orcs always tend to get the bad rap of being rather hostile.
Yeah.
And that's not, again, always the case. They are capable
Of being nannies.
of being nannies and accountants.
And accountants. Whatever they put their mind to, guys.
But when you're playing them, you need to learn their motivations and really lean into it like you would any character, right? These are not mindless idiots.
Yeah.
Maybe an orc is rather conniving. Maybe he's trying to get into a party to play the long game. Maybe he's, putting his own necessities aside in order for a greater good. There can be honor among that, right? Like they're not just stupid killing machines.
True.
You don't have to be smart to be cunning or ingenuitive.
No, and you can really lean into those like positive orc qualities, right? They're strong. Play to that strength. See what they did there?
Yeah, well done, Dave.
There's a lot of honor. There's loyalty to their tribe or to their horde. And they're packs, right? Like they don't get pack tactics as an ability, but I think you almost could make an argument in some cases that they should, right? They do work together.
That's true. I wonder why they wouldn't have a pack tactics option.
Well, they get the aggressive. They get,
But that's like very solo still.
Yeah, it's solo fighting.
Is it though?
As a DM, I would allow not my playable orc, the player character, unless they're fighting with their family faction.
Yeah.
So if other orcs are there, too bad, you don't get anything. But if your cousin, your brother, and your mom are fighting with you,
your family tribe. And
they're there, they're fighting.
Yeah.
Sure, you get pack tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's a good way to kind of homebrew your own little spin on it, right?
It gives a limitation that they can't do it with just anyone that they consider an ally. It has to be someone that knew them from birth, who know how they fight. They know if they're going in at the same time for the same type of hit, they know their head's not going to be chopped off. Yeah. They know that perfectly well where he's hitting and they're hitting.
Yeah, fair enough.
I like it.
Any other notes that I missed on the general overview of orcs? Anything that stands out to you guys?
No, man, I think we defended them quite nicely.
Yeah. All right, well, let's roll initiative and see who's going to do their kind of orc first.
I rolled it at 20.
I'm going last with a 16.
15.
18.
Oh, you bitch.
All right, James.
Okay, I will be covering the Orcs of Exandria from the Wildmount book. So the Orcs in Exandria are one of the youngest races. They are said to be born from elves, which kind of what Dave mentioned earlier. From the blood of Ramesh and Runer. And I'm sorry to any Critical Role fans, I'm going to butcher this. I have hot takes.
Kill it with fire.
Are you a Critical Role fan?
I don't mind it, but I don't follow.
Okay.
What a time sink. No offense.
Yeah, that was my issue with it.
However, we have almost 200 episodes for this podcast.
But they're not 4 hours apiece.
fair.
There's a few.
You can skip, don't worry about it, I'm not on them.
Okay.
They were born from the elves by the blood of Grimesh and Runer when Coral was pierced by the orc god's eye on the field of battle.
Sounds very dramatic.
It sounds super dramatic.
I love it. Keep going.
Half-Orcs are said to inherit the blood of Raynor, which some say carries bloodlust and fury in it, as all that is also in all other orcs. Though this is believed in across the world, it is actually untrue, and there's no supernatural ability or divine ability to lead them to rage and bloodlust. This is I was reading over them, and I had issues with that. Like them saying, they're not actually bloodlust, people just fear them. Felt like people I'm someone of color, and telling me, oh, you're smarter than you look. It was one of those little bit of a dog whistles, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. Oh.
I was reading that, and I'm like, the whole race.
How very fucking dare.
Yeah, I had issues with it.
Aw.
So what you get with being this race, is a +2 in strength and a +1 to constitution.
Okay.
Your age of adulthood is 16, and you live about to 80. Your alignment is tended strongly toward chaos or toward lawful, depending if you're rejecting chaos.
Yeah.
The orcs of this continent, unlike others, are still well above 8 feet tall and weigh more than 280 pounds. There's rules actually built in to help you customize your size a bit more. So it would be the size modifier of 2d8. So it'd be 5 feet plus 4 inches plus your size modifier would give you your size.
Okay, so if you rolled a 12, then it would just add an extra foot onto that.
It would
so
actually
it'd be 6'4"?
extra 12 inches onto that.
All right.
And then you would also have your weight modifier, which is 175 pounds, plus 2d6, and then your multiplied by your size modifier.
Okay.
So you get real hefty up there.
All right, so the size modifier affects a couple different things. Yeah,
it affects your height and it can affect your weight.
All right.
Okay.
You have standard walk speed, move speed of 30 feet, dark vision out to 60. You get the aggressive natural talent trait, which is the bonus action that you have to move toward an enemy. You also have powerful build, as Dave discussed earlier. You get primal intuition here. So you have the proficiency of 2 skills of your choice from the following list of animal handling, insight, intimidation, medicine, perception, and survival.
I like that. It kind of gives you an idea that they're more than just a regular orc. There's a feeling of community. They've got their healers. They've got their chiefs. There's more.
You're
to
on the
it
side
than
of the
that.
wisdom side.
More toward the wisdom, more for especially a few of the tribes of the orcs that are across Exandria. There's one nomadic tribe.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'd be a very good place to start if you're pulling from a cleric or even a druid.
Yeah.
That'd be a great place to start for them.
Yeah.
The languages you speak are common and orc, nothing too fancy or exciting. The fact that the orcs are more accepted in society, but not fully accepted, is a really good place for role-playing. Mm-hmm. So when people do see you, they'll hold their purse or walk across the street because they're a little scared of you.
But orcs are in society.
But they are in society.
They're not just the roaming.
Half-orcs are more in
hordes.
society than orcs themselves, but orcs are generally saw as well sought-after soldiers.
Okay.
Because of orkiness.
Fair.
Orkiness, love it.
Orkiness. Change the name of the episode. Thanks.
Kevin Orkiness.
Orkiness.
that should be as Kevin Orkiness.
Kevin Orkiness.
Yeah.
Fuck damn.
Professional chartered accountant. Yes.
Here's my card.
That's what I got.
All right.
It seems pretty simple.
Yeah, they're not overly complicated. There's a bit on each of the 3 tribes mentioned, but I think that's more for a player to delve into if they're interested in orcs to begin with, because there's not a lot there to go off of.
Sure. All right. Well, let's roll initiative. I got some questions for everybody.
Okay. 11.
14.
And I got a 4. All right. Well then, James, what's one interesting reason why one of these creatures would become an adventurer?
To get away from their particular tribe, whether they're from one of the cities or the wandering tribe, to be different, to stand out, to have their teen angst moment, essentially.
I hear you.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
I think everyone's familiar with their teen angst adventure in life.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the fact that these ones focus in on like being a part of society and being functioning. Again, you can play into that. You can give them personalities. You can give them.
Feels
ideals,
very
you can
on
give
brand
them-
with what's coming for 5e.
That's-
Everything's included. You're not evil by nature. You're evil by either environment or choice.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of like about this. That's kind of
Yeah.
the reasoning I was thinking of, is like these do feel that they're a more integrated piece of society, which I think
Yeah.
is where we are going to trend in that direction.
I feel like it's halfway there, though. I feel like if you're gonna do it, you should have just done it, especially because it's from a personal homebrew world. You could have had them fully integrated. This, to me, feels like a half step. That we want them to be integrated, but everyone sees them evil, so we'll keep the bad attitude, but say they're not evil.
Sure. What kind of insights do you have for players who want to explore role-playing this kind of character?
For me, it would depend on your class. That would heavily dictate on how you're gonna follow that character's progression. A sorcerer would be very different to a cleric for what they're wanting to get out of life and around them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd focus again. I like the idea of focusing on they have a job.
Yeah.
They have like a very specific focus because, like, again, you don't want to play these things too stupid. You don't want to play them too chaotic, dumb, right? So giving them something that is their hyper focus and their number one thing that they can do for the party, I think is a great way to integrate yourself into a party that might be afraid of an orc or be like, "Are you an aggressor? Are you this?" No, I'm just the chef. You know, like, I'm just here to cook dinner for you. Like, would you like fish or meats? Like,
Food Wars quality food every night.
time.
Have you seen that? I think it's a Netflix movie, Bright.
Yeah.
And it's got the orcs that are like they're
Will
cops.
Smith and the orcs and
Yeah. I thought that was kind of a neat take on having orcs integrated into like a common society. That was kind of a neat, like, urbanized orcs.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of
They have
cool.
a job.
Yeah.
What about you, Dave?
Again, this when you're digging into an orc like this, I feel like you really have to figure out your motivations. You really have to dig deep into that backstory, much more than I would a regular playable race.
Yeah.
Like, a human is a human. I'll give it a human thing. But in order for it to be here and get the recognition it deserves, it needs to be fleshed out a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Especially if you're not playing in a world like Exandria. If you're not playing with a world that's already been set up to have orcs as even second-class citizens, you're going to have a harder time for it. So you need to know your motivations, your backstory, your core beliefs.
Yep.
Your rhyme, your reason.
Yeah.
Your what haves, yes.
Exactly. Now, we all know that orcs and half-orcs make great barbarians.
Sure.
Other than that, what class or subclass would be a good thematic fit for this?
What were the stat mods for this one?
I will
Again?
pull that back up one moment.
Because I figure if it was, barbarians would just be the same for everything we
Oh,
do
yeah.
here, right?
Barbarian. So I was saying, what's the
Strength
stat
and
mod?
Constitution. So they are geared toward a barbarian melee class.
Yeah.
But with also the new rules in other books about how to flip your modifiers, it's not as important what they are.
Yeah.
For me, I think a druid would be fun. I think a druid would be really interesting from an orc, because what plants do they cultivate? Is it a normal dandelion, or do they have
Oh my
particularly
god. The
plants?
cutest job in the world. He just has a greenery.
Yeah.
He's got a greenhouse. He's just like, my plants.
Instead of the
It's Wally the Orc,
Instead of
guys.
Magnificent Mansion, he has his own greenhouse that he has a little portal to.
Hates it when people litter.
Yeah.
Just fucking gets livid.
Beats the hell out of
aggressive.
people who live
Super
there.
aggressive when someone litters. Like, what
runs
the
over,
fuck are you
intimidates
doing?
you to pick up your trash.
Yeah, just tosses it in the window of your car.
Yeah.
Like, that's this guy.
I love that.
Oh, it's so cute. I don't know. I always feel like orcs can be thought of as something that's very devout, right? Again, I like the idea of giving them something that is their focus and what they do. So I could almost see one of these folks being like a cleric or someone who has some kind of something they worship.
What flavor of
shall we
cleric?
say.
Not exact flavor, but are they the more war, death, light?
I'd be more warish because I
Okay.
feel like at the end of the day, if you want to build something that's workable, you're gonna have to do something that can battle.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be strength and constitution, and yet clerics are like what, a charisma based.
Wisdom and
charisma-ish.
con?
So it'd be
Well,
very hard to
con
stat
is
build
one.
something like that
Yeah.
and not try and make it at least slightly fighty. So I feel like war cleric would be the more fitting, I feel. But at least you would have a couple of, I feel like it would be like that really one that would know how to kill something.
Yeah.
But will also be like, okay, but I heal too. I will take care of you.
I think death could be cool too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they are a warring tribe, so death is very prominent to them.
Yeah, fair. I like it.
That'd be another interesting one, yeah.
Yeah. It always seemed kind of weird to me to see orcs wielding magic. Now, I know that they do, and like that's great. But
Good for them.
Yeah, equal opportunity, right? But it always seemed really strange. When you have an army of orcs, maybe only a handful are actually spellcasters, right? Like that seems like, to me, if I was going to make a playable orc, there would need to be some good backstory reason to get into the magic. So I would probably do something a little more simple because I'm not big on building my backstory. I tried to build a backstory with Dan and another player on our Sunday group, and you can ask them. It has been a source of frustration for both of them. I'm not good at backstory. I just want to roll my clickety-clackety math dice, right?
Oh, that's
math
nice.
rocks. Yeah, so, or in most cases, your clickety-clackety math rocks, because mine don't work.
That's true.
Yeah.
We've gotten to a habit of we'll trade dice at the table.
Yeah, it's just like,
it happens.
a one again? All right, come on, let's switch it up.
Trade. I think in one session we traded like 6 dice.
Yeah, and it worked out for you last time. You rolled a couple of crits. And...
I think like the last 2 sessions, it's worked out well for me.
Yeah.
Stealing the dice, 100%.
I love it. But I would probably lean into something more like a fighter, right?
Okay.
I know it's a bit of a cop-out because I said not barbarian fighter, but
Fighters are different from barbarians.
they
Just
absolutely
like
are.
humans are different from variant
Well,
humans.
Well, I think that the orcs are it suits them
Yeah.
to have all of these abilities, action surges, and other kind of martial abilities.
Yeah.
Right? That makes sense to me. That seems like a really easy trope to lean into. For those that don't, like justifying every little thing. This just kind of makes it nice and easy.
Fair.
Right?
I like that.
Anything else on the Orcs of Exandria? Did I say that
Yeah,
right?
I think that's right. We're going to hear about it if we're wrong.
That's true.
So, no, I don't have anything else on the Orcs of Exandria.
All right.
Hello everyone, it's Megan. I finally get to do a commercial spot all by myself. Just me, just you, hanging out, talking about commercial stuff. Now, Dan and Adam came to me a few days ago and politely asked me if I would record a little blurb about liking and subscribing and leaving reviews on iTunes. And I graciously and humbly agreed because of the kind-hearted and warm person that I am. So here I am asking you to like and subscribe. And let's be real, it took both of them a lot of courage to come and ask me this question because they knew they had to do so with kindness. So please, come along, leave your reviews, comment, tell your friends, buy some merch, however you want to help support the podcast. We love the time we get to spend with you. But don't forget to support some of the others associated with the podcast as well. All their accounts are on Instagram. You can find our logo artist, Katie, at Clementine Art Portraits. The music guy, Tyler, good guy, could use more love at Melodics Music. You can even find Peps at Pepperina_SparkleGem, or even myself on Instagram at Omegart, 0MEGGART. And of course, you can always go onto the It's a Mimic and harass Adam and Dan there. So remember to take a few minutes for every episode you listen to and boost up those metrics with likes, comments, follows, and subscriptions. And if you have a business, online store, or passion project that you'd like us to show the world, reach out to info@itsamimic.com to buy some ad space here on the podcast. Let's work together to build this community up.
All right, I'm going to cover the Orcs of Eberron, which I think is fucked up because Dave knows everything about Eberron.
I saw that one. Oh, I'm going to do that one.
Oh, Megan gets to do that one. And I'm going to fuck it up.
Well, to be fair, I'm replacing Dan. This was supposed to be Dan.
That's true.
All right, so anybody that's upset that Dan's not on an Orc episode, we tried. You get me instead. I'm sorry.
And I'm taking Eberron, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry. However, weirdly enough, listening to yours, they're not that much different from Exandria.
No?
Not at all. Like,
That doesn't surprise me.
their history is a little bit more
Yeah.
rich, just because it's developed over like
Way more years.
way more years and way more. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to go over everything with their history, but their history is a lot more rich than I think what
That's good.
you had to work with. But I liked the quote in the book, which was, "We are hunters in a world of sheep."
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cute. All right, so before the humans came to Corvair and fucked shit up, orcs and goblinoids kind of ran the empires. And then eventually the goblinoids pushed the orcs into more unwanted lands, which included the Shadow Marshes, the Demon Wastes, and the base of the Ironroot Mountains. Okay, so but however doing so, the orcs, based on wherever they landed, ended up learning different abilities and fun tricks from living within those desolate places. So, for instance, being chased to the Shadow Marshes, orcs actually learned druid magic. So that's just one example of the different areas that they can learn different things from. So much like how your orcs had 3 different tribes, so do Eberron's. So Eberron does have the 3 main tribes, Gashkala, Jorashtar, and then an unnamed tribe of half-orcs.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I really like about Eberron is they leave a lot of blanks,
Yeah.
right? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, and weirdly enough, the one that has the richest history is the one that does not have a name.
Yep.
So, Gashkala, also known as the Silver Flame, they reside within the Demon Waste and like dedicate their lives to battling the evils that are there. Human tribes have been known to kind of show up and help out, which has kind of led to the increased population of half-orcs because why the fuck not?
Naturally.
But you will find both half-orcs and orcs in that area. The Jorashtar, they reside at the base of the mountains with a big grudge against dwarves because why not? You're at the mountains, dwarves, just fuck dwarves. And due to their isolation, there are not a lot of half-orcs here. So this is mostly, you would rarely find a half-orc at the base of the mountains. It's just your classic orc. And then finally, within the Shadow Marshes, this just kind of feels like your common middle ground that is just riddled with half-orcs, which does kind of have a rich history of fighting aberrations of the dragon that sleeps below. Some giving into its wiles, others not. So battles ensue. Some tribes fight other tribes. Like, it's a very, very long, rich history about this area. But due to this rich history of this place, there are many reasons as to why I feel you would want an orc to come from here. Because to your point with Eberron, there's so much open-ended reasons as to why things exist. And I feel like this place specifically, there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason. But there is like a long history. But if you were to play an orc from here, you can play it from one of 8 different places within the Shadow Marshes.
Yep.
It already sounds more interesting as a layout for an orc, playable orc, too.
Exactly. However, the traits themselves are exactly the same as what yours were. So, ability score increases their strength and constitution. They get their dark vision. Woo! They get their aggressive, which is the basically you get your extra bonus action to be closer to someone.
Yeah.
Your powerful build, which we've described many times, which is carrying upwards from your size. Primal intuition, which is your extra proficiency choices, which are animal handling, insight, intimidation, medicine, nature, perception, survival. Feels very outdoorsy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then languages are common in orc. However, their alignment is whatever the fuck you want it to be. They don't have a predetermined, and it doesn't say anything about being closer to one direction or the other. It's very fluid.
Yeah, they're more tribal than hordy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit more gracious. So if you wanted to make an orc with a more fleshed out backstory and that isn't necessarily going to be evil or doing one thing or the other, like this, I feel Eberron is a great place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
that's that. That is that. That's Eberron.
All right, more questions. Let's roll more dice.
Okay. 6.
18.
8.
What the fuck,
I'm
James?
doing really good today, and it's been with 3 different dice.
Do you want to trade dice?
Here, you can use this D4.
Fuck right off.
All right, James. What's one interesting reason why one of these creatures would become an adventurer?
From the 3rd tribe, where there was more half-orcs, the Phantom of the Dragon wiped out your little village or your little tribe. So now you're alone. So you need to go out into the world to survive somehow.
You've heard of these other orc tribes.
Yeah, you've heard
being
of
"Where am I
orc
gonna find my
tribes, you've
orc
heard
people?"
of human civilizations, you know there's stuff out there. You've never experienced it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you name the tribe?
Oh, that's a lot of questions, Dave.
Yeah, well, I got more.
Oh.
Whatever the random name generator tells me, as I always do for these things.
Fair enough. Here, we'll come back to that one. I mean, one interesting reason why these would be an adventure. I mean, I like the idea of the 13th nation of Corvair, the Droam. It's a nation of monsters that are trying to be recognized by the other nations. I like the idea of having orcs that come from this region of Corvair and are almost like the best of the best orcs get sent out to try to promote that orcs are more than meets the eye. There's more to them. They're supposed
They're
to be
like
the
an
positive,
advocacy group for
yeah,
orcs.
emissaries of
Goodwill ambassadors.
prosperity. Yeah, right. I think that would be an interesting
Yeah.
way to work that into it as as a reason for leaving the homelands.
Oh, see, I would want to build something within the homelands. I almost want to run a campaign that is entirely orcs at the base of the Iron Mountain.
Yeah.
And then you're just going in to kill all the dwarves.
I'd play that.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like
I'd play
everybody
that
throws a
game.
fucking orc, everyone rolls a different kind of orc. And again, within Eberron, you can probably be any type of orc that you want to be.
Could also make it a holy war, and then you're not evil.
Yeah, sounds like this is actually just patriotic.
Yeah.
It just feels really good.
They attacked our people, so we need to eradicate the threat entirely.
100%.
If you rip it out by the root, it never comes back.
We need to save the women and the children.
Exactly.
So
That's
So
one
now
of,
give them arms and let's go to war.
give them arms and we go to war.
one of the things that I really liked about Eberron as well is that it really does flesh out the politics
Yeah.
of the world a lot more so than you find in other places. And it also really does flesh out the religions as well. So you mentioned Holy War. Yeah, man, get into it. There are multiple different religions in the Eberron book that are would work here. Right?
Absolutely. Like there's even like if you go into the Eberron book, there's a whole lot of other things that are like they're dragon marks, or they do talk specifically about half-orcs or of Corvair. Like, and they have details of that as well. So there's like a large section of what orcs and half-orcs are within Eberron.
Oh yeah, and then you get like the houses involved, and it just gets
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it gets very, very detailed.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where if you did want to play an orc that is specifically from Eberron, or you're playing in an Eberron campaign, definitely do your reading, do your research. It's not a classic orc, I think. It's more,
It's different.
Yeah.
They're more, and I hate to use the word, civilized.
yeah, civilized, more organized, more like you will have a passion, you will have a rhyme, you will have a reason. Like, you are existing for a purpose.
More like a flushed out existing race as to before they were a bad guy.
Yeah, just wars and hordes.
Yeah, they
and
were an
what have
enemy
you.
to kill and then for the weird people to play, but now
Army
it's
for
a
hire. Yeah.
actual race that has history.
Oh, that would be cool though. Like the orcs of at the base of the mountain, they're the orcs for hire for when you need
An
an
army.
army of orcs, right?
The Golden Horde, perhaps.
Shall we say?
James, did you come up with a name yet?
Yes, Yazgubar.
Yazgubar.
What is this the name of again?
The town. Dave
Your
asked me
town?
for a name.
No,
so
the third tribe, the name of the third
Yeah.
Get the
tribe.
fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's okay. I was only going to ask James that.
Name
We're good.
generator.
We're
Yeah.
fine? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
not making up
rude,
a name.
David.
James,
Yes.
what kind of insights do you have for players who want to explore role-playing this kind of character?
As Megan said earlier, read up and do your history. There's a lot to pull here, so there's a lot of inspiration to have. I'd also make sure you talk with your DM on how they're going to play orcs throughout the rest of the society.
Yeah.
But I think that's important for all the orcs we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you really got to flesh out where these ones are coming from and what their motivations are. I mean, you can play an entire campaign without leaving the Shadow Marches. You don't need to involve the rest of it. So the at-home campaign, like you mentioned, the at-home orc, yeah, lots of opportunity there. There's so much. Like, my only insight here would be make sure that you look at everything before you make your decision, because there is just like a plethora of stuff out here for orcs. It's more than just 2 pages in a book. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah. No, I like your comment, James, about how if you're going to play an orc, talk to your DM about what orcs are in the area that you're in. Because if you just drop in as an Eberron orc into a regular orc society place, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
They're going to, and it would be, where the flip side of that is it'd be very interesting interaction if you were an orc from Eberron that ended up just in like another plane, shall we say, through portals or what have you. And now you're introduced to a bunch of orcs that are just army grunts. And then they're trying to have an intelligent conversation in Orcish, but you can't because it's a very different style of communication. And they're confused why you're running around with the human variant cleric that's just hanging out in the corner. They're like, I'm sorry, but we would murder this
Yeah.
and eat it. So I don't know what you're doing, right? I feel like that would be a very fun thing to expand upon. But I feel like, again, you would want to have that conversation with your DM, be like, hey, this interaction is going to come up. This is what orcs are like in this world. You're different. So get ready for those kinds of interactions.
That would be a fun conversation if the DM and that player kept it quiet too. So
Yes.
the rest of the party notices it. They
Yeah.
notice there's a party of orcs now following them through town, and they don't know why.
Yeah.
And as soon as their orc friend leaves, half them follow him, the other half follow the rest of the party because they're obviously up to something.
Yeah. Some
Interesting. I like that. Some intrigue.
Yeah.
So much intrigue.
If you're going to do a class or subclass for these ones, what would you do?
It would depend on the location you pull them from.
Yeah.
Like there's the ones that are heavily geared toward druids. There's the fighter classes, which would be, in my opinion, martial. And then the in-between ones where the dragon phantom appears. I'd give them any kind of magic. You're around a phantom of a slumbering dragon. That's got power just leaking off of it, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd probably go with something like a spore druid. Something that's like grotesque as a class and just like really lean into it. Make this guy so gross that even other orcs don't want to be around him.
Just gross.
Right? Like, yeah, like lean into that more primal side of it because I think they're really getting away from it. I think it would be neat to bring the primal side back a little bit while still exploring that. See how those two kind of mesh or don't in that manner.
Yeah, you're like doing the physical grotesqueness, but like the intelligence side of things.
Yeah.
Blending the two together.
Of course.
I like that. I like the idea of the dragon and being close to something that is that magical and powerful. Like I would love to see an orc warlock.
Yeah.
Or like a tribe or cult of orc warlocks would be dope.
I believe there is a cult of the dragon below religion
Oh.
in Eberron.
Okay, well, I didn't get that far in my research, and this is when Dave is looking at it. This is that moment, everybody. We got there.
No, I'm helping, right?
So you can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and It's a Mimic on Reddit. You can also email us at info@itsamimic.com to send us mailbag questions or tell us how we pronounce things wrong all the time or respond to our hot takes we have. Positive reviews are preferred by much. Share on us on social media because we're all done by word of mouth.
Right on. All right, so I got the standard run-of-the-mill Forgotten Realms Orc.
Great.
And I'm not sure it came up already or not yet, but you guys know who Grumsh is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The orc god, Grumsh
We
One-Eye.
haven't talked about Grumsh in this podcast
no.
so far yet, though.
Okay, he's like the orc god.
Yeah.
Okay. When the world was being divided and all the gods were claiming territory for their own, Grumsh went to the mountains, but it was taken by the dwarves.
Rude.
He went
we
to the
don't like
forests,
Yeah.
and it was taken by the elves.
Those bitches.
Also rude.
So he got laughed at by the other gods, and that pissed him off.
Of course.
And he went and he fucked shit up,
That's fair.
right?
As a tradition.
I support this. I support your claim.
Yeah, the orcs really got shafted.
Yep.
In return, the orcs laid waste to everyone and everything that they encountered and got in their way.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
We're all in agreement here.
Yeah, it's to the point where Grumsh has claimed that an orc's purpose is to destroy all that was denied to them. Which, think about that. That's heavy,
Yeah.
Very heavy.
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I will destroy all that is denied to me.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like that's Megan vibes. I don't know.
It kind of feels like it. I think you should get it.
I think I need that as a
You should
shirt.
expense it to Adam as well.
Yeah, sure.
The other thing about Grumsh is he is called Grumsh One-Eye. That is because he was blinded by an arrow from the elven god Corlin Lorethian.
Did he keep that arrow?
I don't know.
Wears it around his neck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with his eye on it still, obviously. Like, if you're gonna lose an eye, you might as well display it.
Yeah, we keep that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna deny him his eye.
Well, this in particular is the long storied reason as to why orcs and elves do not get along.
Yeah.
It's because of this. Although some orcs don't accept that this is what happened and just don't believe that Grumsh could, have been hit by an arrow from a lowly elf.
Yeah.
So, in some cases, in some places, that's not necessarily what they take as truth.
Some people believe the world's round, David. So,
Oh boy, not touching that one.
Oh my god.
Orcs in the Forgotten Realms in Faerun are tribal. They do travel in hordes and war bands, and they like to move quickly. And that kind of plays to their advantage. They go in, they raid, and they leave. If they stayed in one place, word would get back and parties would come to destroy them, right? So this moving around and always being in a different place works out well in their favor. And I kind of like the idea of your heroes come across a town that has been ravaged by orcs, and they find out that the orcs are over here, and then they get there, and the orcs aren't there. And it's just a game of
Guffaw.
yeah, right? Like just as they're like,
Some Scooby-Doo shit
chasing
going
them
on
around,
here,
right? But the main takeaway from that is when they do travel around, it is in hordes. Think like the Mongol Empire, without so many horses. Okay.
Okay.
Now, after the spell plague, the Orcs of Faerun did actually learn to settle down. They were led by Obuld the 17th, also called Obuld Many Arrows, and they settled into a single kingdom. He united the tribes, and they ended up becoming remarkably civilized. They actually started getting along. And the most, I think, the most interesting part of this is that once they've established this, it's been around for 100 years or so, since the spell plague, they have not once initiated war with their neighbors. It's always been fairly calm and relaxed. So I thought that might be an interesting, thing to play with.
Yeah.
Now, orcs are not native to the Forgotten Realms. In Forgotten Realms, they didn't start here. They're not from Toril. They didn't come from across the sea or anything like that. They were brought here by the creator races. Are you guys familiar with the creator races?
Not at all.
All right, there's 5 of them, all right? There's the Saruk, who are the creators of the Yuan-Ti lizard folk and the other serpentine creatures. There's the Batraki, who created the Bullywugs, Koatoa, and Doppelgangers. I'm not going to say this right, Are. There's 6 letters and 5 of them are vowels. I don't get it.
It's just,
Just something so abusive.
These are the avian races, the Aarakocra, the Kenkus, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Fae are the 4th, and humans are the 5th. Okay. The idea is that they built a portal in the spine of the world, which is a mountain range in the Forgotten Realms. And in this mountain range, they opened this portal, and the orcs came through, much to everyone's chagrin. The other end of the portal opened up to wherever it was that orcs are from. I didn't quite find a definite answer of where that was.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. But
Yeah.
Faerun.
But Toril.
Lord of the
yeah.
Rings.
That's why they won Helm's
40k
Deep.
orcs walk out, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right?
I feel sorry for everyone if it's the 40k orcs.
There's spaceships in Forgotten Realm. Come on.
They just can shoot their fingers in 40k because they believe so hard.
Let's not go down that road.
We're stopping.
All right. Afterwards, though, I mean, this was 35,000 years ago kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Since then, they did try to open another portal, which was successful, and it brought different orcs. That's where you got the one of the sub-races, I suppose, called the Grey Orcs, specifically. Not Grey Orcs, but Grey Orcs.
Okay.
Right? And they are still around, although that portal has been closed. The orcs the orcs don't get along so well with a lot of the other races, mainly elves.
Yeah.
Right? We all know that they don't like to work together, but they will work together with other creatures. It's not uncommon to see goblins and hobgoblins, bugbears, ogres, that kind of thing, working together with orcs. Just because they don't work well with one doesn't mean they don't work well with another.
Yeah.
Again, they do make functioning society, and they do it well.
Yeah.
However, the other races around them tend to be a little weary still. It's not all like, cha-chas and ice cream. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. And again, these guys are raiders. They travel, they go in, they take over places, they plunder whatever they can, and they move on. They don't often stop to build civilization, although they do sometimes. Often when they're traveling, they'll find old ruins or old towns that have been raided and set up shop there, but they rarely build additions to those towns with the exception of defenses. That's kind of their big asterisk on that one.
They sound like the Vikings of...
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Vikings meet Mongols.
Yeah.
They are normally a patriarchal society. And they do worship Grumsh and Luthik. Do you guys know who Luthik is?
Tell me about him, Dave.
Luthik is Grumsh's wife and the goddess of fertility. She demands that orcs procreate often and indiscriminately.
Great.
Straight out of the book.
Okay, so yes, Vikings. We're really there right now.
Yeah. When an orc breeds with a non-orc, when an orc breeds with a non-orc humanoid, the child is either a full orc or a half-orc.
Okay.
Now, that means that they can breed with a dwarf and still give birth to an orc. Okay?
Yeah.
However, if they reproduce with an ogre, it is a half-ogre, and that is called an ogrillon. Ogrillon?
I guess that's the dominant gene.
I guess.
Yeah.
It just seemed weird that was kind of the specific...
Except for this.
Yeah, except for just one, not like a grouping of similar creatures.
Just this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, very specific.
They do get a +2 to con, +1 to strength, but they also get a -2 to intelligence.
Oh,
So it's a little bit different than the other two.
because you actually get a detractor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They live to about 50 years old, which I think is a little bit shorter
Yeah,
than,
it's
than
shorter.
most.
It is shorter.
And they're usually chaotic evil.
Okay.
They are a medium build, but they are big. Okay? So you guys have been to Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you have,
Sure.
right? You ever get a medium?
Yeah.
No,
It's called a
isn't
grande.
Yeah. Oh.
So it's a medium that's large, all right? Orcs are
Yeah.
grandes,
Grande-sized orc.
right? They're
Okay.
medium, but large, okay?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate
I
everything
absolutely
you
hate
just
it, but
said.
I also hate that Starbucks does that, so...
Yeah, the only one that isn't called large is the large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't accept you saying a large or a medium, they get
They get uppity about it?
uppity about it.
I've never really delved that
Oh,
far
I
into
have, and
Starbucks
I've
order.
left the Starbucks because they wouldn't. I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Like, seriously, I just want a medium. Can I get one and go?
Can you just take that cup and put coffee in
Yeah,
it?
that's
Thank
all
you
I want.
very much.
So they do move 30 feet,
Okay.
and they have 60 feet of dark vision. They do get menacing, which is just proficiency in intimidation.
Okay.
And they speak, read, and write Orc in common, which another interesting tidbit I came across was that the Orc language is written in the Dwarvish alphabet.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Okay?
Fuck the dwarves.
Yeah. Fuck them! Except their alphabet. That thing
Except
is
we-
spot on.
we-
Well,
Need your
no,
alphabet.
that makes sense. You're raiding a bunch of dwarf places, and you need to know what's in that barrel. Is it explosives or is it ale?
You learn their letters.
You'll learn eventually.
Yeah,
Yep.
makes sense.
These orcs are quite diverse. Like I said, they do have a civilization or the one kingdom, but there are also the warring tribes, the hordes moving around.
Yeah.
There's lots of different options with the Forgotten Realm orcs. They're very diverse, and they don't necessarily need to lean on those stereotypes, right? They give you a lot of information in the monster manual about where you like. It's not just war bands. It's like they do have this city. There's so much going on in it. Build it. That's where Kevin's going to be,
That's a hustle and bustling city.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's where you're going to find him. There is also some other I'm not sure the term on different kinds of orcs in the monster manual and in Volos. You've got in the monster manual and in Volos there are other different kinds of orc monsters. There's the war chief. There's the Orc Eye of Grumsh. There's the Orog, the Blade of Ilnaval, the Claw of Luthik, the Hand of Yurtrus, the Nurtured One of Yurtrus, and the Red Fang of Shargos. All right. So what I would kind of do is I would kind of look at what those different kinds of orcs do in the book and maybe see if there's one in there that would stick out towards what my guy wants to do and use that as a motivation.
Flesh out a backstory that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Use those orcs to try to figure out where your guy's going, what he's doing. The other neat thing I liked about these guys was their intimidate, the menacing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's different.
I like the idea of they're going around intimidating things. You can use intimidate for so many things, and it doesn't have to just be simple trying to get your way. In some circumstances, you can use it to impose disadvantage. DM approved, of course.
Yeah.
Or you could maybe use it to frighten things. If you've got a party of 6 orcs that are walking up and they come across a halfling, yeah, I think you could intimidate them into getting the frightened condition.
Intimidate for stealth.
Yeah. I'm so
You
didn't see me!
I am invisible.
Right? It's like the aggressive feature as well, which I think all 3 of ours had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can use that to dominate on the battlefield. Movement is key. That's why monks are so good, is because they move around and they get lots of different hits in.
Forever.
Right? They can go so far and do so many different things. Right? If you use that mentality with an orc or with this aggressive feat, it there's room to build on that, right? You can really dominate your surroundings and change the action economy to kind of work in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, the tactics with these guys are going to just be swarm and to overrun. They get in there and they just beat you with the numbers. They don't beat you with...
These are the ones that I feel would have pack tactics, because I feel like they've been fighting for a long time together.
Yeah. The last line I had written here was attacks with organized chaos.
Love that.
Yeah.
I really like that. I think that sums up how they work quite well.
Yeah.
Right?
Love it.
All right, so I got some questions for you guys, as I'm sure you were expecting. So let's roll dice again.
16 this time.
I got
4.
a 7.
Me.
Oh, you're going last, James.
No.
Good.
That's for last.
All right, Megan.
Whatever, man.
Megan, what's one interesting reason why one of these creatures would become an adventurer?
I feel like this is your classic. They were out on a raiding party and they're the last surviving standing survival, and they have no idea where they are.
Yeah.
And
They
then-
weren't the guy in charge of the map.
Yeah. And then they have to go. Then they end up finding their way to a random city, and then that's how you end up in the tavern where you meet your quest giver. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, like a good old fish out of water kind of?
Yeah.
Be like, okay, well, my goal now is to get back home, but I need people to help me get back home because I have no idea where I am. But it's natural for me to be around because orcs are common here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we've already touched on it already. Actually, I had 2 ideas for this. I wrote down looking to mend relations with other races, but I already said that for another one.
Yeah.
And the other thing that stood out to me was having them do a regular job in society in the orc kingdom, which I think covered already with Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? So
Kevin's my favorite.
those are things that I would probably still lean into with this particular kind
For
of orc.
sure.
Yeah.
For me, I was similar to Megan, that they're out in the wilderness and either the last of their party, or my thought was that's where they meet the adventure party, and they're hired to bring the adventure party, who's almost all unconscious, back to a town, whatever. They're like, oh, I'll just help them and I'll meet you guys back at the next raid, and never makes it to the next raid.
Yeah, this could be like if you're playing a PC that's coming in on a game late.
Yeah, late into a game.
It would be a great way to be introduced to character. You're a part of an orc raiding party that comes across what you're saying is the PCs, and you're helping them get to civilization. That's really cool. Especially because orcs, when we want to flip the narrative of that they're just...
Yeah, you're expecting a fight, and they're like, oh, can we help you?
No, man, like, we'll take you back home.
Yeah,
Like,
we're headed that direction
if
as
you're
it
lost as
is.
fuck, your cleric's down. What do you need? Like, we'll give you a hand.
Yeah.
Like,
We got a guy.
we got
He's
a
got
guy.
lay on hands or something like that.
Kevin will count your money if you need it.
That is very suspicious.
They don't know that.
Come, we'll protect you. Give us your money.
your
Our
money,
guy will
though.
count it for you. But means it so innocently and honestly, right? No catch.
100%. I love it. I love it so much.
That would play into, I like the idea of that playing into them not realizing the societal norms as well.
Yeah.
And that's another thing where you can play dumb intelligently, right? I like that. I like that.
Very true.
What kind of insight do you have for players who want to explore role-playing this kind of character?
I play them more intelligent, I feel. Even though these are the ones that have the negative intelligence score.
Yeah. Actually, that was, yeah.
But I feel like these are your battlement characters. So, like, they're going to know what's happening around them. They're going to be very perceptive. They're going to understand what's happening, what's going on. If someone, like, sneaks up on them, they're going to know how to react to it. Like, they're tactical. Not necessarily intelligent, but tactical.
Well, more wise is kind of,
Yeah.
besides wisdom being an actual stat,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I also see them.
Yeah.
They may not be smart, but they're good at what they do.
Yes, they have a focus,
Yeah.
and they're like, this is my specialty. So
Yeah, if you're a fighter, you know when someone's got their eyes on you wanting to kill you.
Yeah, man, that guy's been following us for like 10 days.
Yeah,
No one else
let's go
noticed that?
deal with him.
Like,
Yeah, again, it just leans into the whole, they don't need to be stupid.
No.
They can be very intelligent. And, I mean, if you're going to really explore being an orc as a playable race, learn it. Learn what it is. Learn the society around it. Because if you're going to go into, just because I know it, the Waterdeep, Undermountain, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, that kind of thing, when you run into the Xanathar Guild, maybe they're going to be looking kind of funny at you,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of motivation that comes from being an orc, from a lot of different places. Learn what those are so that you're not surprised later.
Yeah.
Make sure that you and the DM are on a level playing
I was
field.
gonna sucks to be your
essentially.
DM who now has to learn what everybody's reaction to an orc is gonna be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you were saying earlier, for me, it's know what world you're in. Like the one I was covering is a lot more friendly than the one Dave covered, which Megan's was kind of right in between us.
Yeah.
So depending where you are in the world, like the Faerun ones, they seem more of the evil inclined orcs.
Yeah.
Yes, they're a playable character. Yes, they can be good, but this feels more like you should be leaning toward the more evil side, whereas mine was be what you want, do as you want.
Well, I think this was more saying that your standard orc is going to be evil,
Yeah.
but
But if everyone in your whole village is evil, not saying you won't be good, but you're likely to be bad.
yeah, if you're going to be a player in a party and you pick the only player or the only character that's going to be chaotic evil,
Yeah.
you're a dick.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
You get the fuck out of here.
Right? Play the game. My precious character would do it this way. No, shut
No.
up.
I'm just role playing.
Yeah, no, come on, get out of here.
Yeah.
But
There's a difference
unanimous
between
on that.
chaotic evil and chaotic stupid.
Yeah.
Well, it's like my guy on our Sundays. What's his catchphrase? Confidently incorrect.
Yes.
Right? But I try not to let that take away from everything else.
Oh yeah. It's one of those things you pull out every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's for the
exactly.
balance, or like when something's too serious, you'll randomly get a one-liner in the corner and like, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
Dave showed up.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Dave knew the assignment
Sat there
today.
quietly for 45 minutes to drop this one line.
One sentence.
To go, what class or subclass do you think would be a good thematic fit for this kind of work? That's not barbarian, sorry.
This would be your fighter then. Like it has to be because they're martial classed. They fight in hordes. Their goal is to raid. Like at the same point you could probably flip it, and I would say you would want to make maybe a charisma based healer out of it, just to have that one person on the battlefield that's a war cleric kind of thing. But they are definitely martial. Like there's no getting around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing a monk with these guys.
that'd be
Running
cool.
around punching stuff and like really leaning into the movement.
Imagine an orc just punching you in the face like 4 times.
God.
Like even a non-monk orc.
Oh my
Don't
god.
they get an additional for their fists, or is that Goliath?
These guys don't
They
know.
don't know.
Oh, it's Goliath. I think they get the higher D.
It might be. I
fist
couldn't.
hit.
I
I
can't
don't know
tell
off the
you.
top of my head. I know one of the big races get to hit harder.
Yeah. The other thing though I liked about this kind of orc in particular is leaning into the warlock side of things. They pray to Grumsh.
Oh, true.
In fact, when they kill an orc, when the orc kills an elf, they can do a ritual kind of thing, and if Grumsh appears and instructs them to, they'll rip out one of their own eyes to be more like Grumsh,
Know that about them.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, dedicated.
so I like the idea of a warlock
Yeah,
leaning into this and using Grumsh as his patron kind of thing.
that's pretty badass.
I would do that to any player that is playing an orc in that campaign.
Yeah.
I'd make sure they knew about the lore sessions in advance, and then just drop it on them one day. They kill an elf and Grumsh appears and tells them to rip out their eye.
It's, okay.
What do you do?
Yes, sir. Right away,
Yeah.
sir.
Well, do you listen? Does the player listen, and what do you give them in return?
Oh, what
'Cause
do you do if they don't?
Yeah. Do you take the eye and give them nothing for it?
You take the eye, you eat it, and you say,
Yeah.
have a nice
Because
life.
wasn't this whole one about taking what was wrongfully taken from you or not given to you, as you were saying at the beginning of this?
Yeah, to take all that was denied to them or destroy
Asked for
all
the
that was
eye,
denied.
and then they denied it, so destroy the eye.
Man, that could be like a real hardcore character flaw.
Yeah.
100%. I love that so
But
much.
back to what we were actually talking about. I do paladin.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martial class, but you believe in the task that has been set in front of you.
Yeah.
Especially from the empire or kingdom of orcs.
Yeah.
Like, you are a paladin to protect the crown.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
All right, guys, if you're going to do a creative build, something that was like maybe not necessarily leaning into every one of these traits, what would you guys pick?
I think the fact that they have a negative intelligence score and making them a wizard would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Just a really stupid wizard.
Yeah.
Or really smart, but he knows he should be smarter.
Yeah.
Like, He is an 18, but he knows he should be 20.
Yeah.
Like, he knows he should be max intelligence, but he got hit one too many times as a kid.
He's that one person that like reads the first chapter of a book and then never finishes the book.
Yeah.
And
Got a really flat forehead just from when he was dropped as a child. Yeah.
That's how he learned magic, though. He was recovering in his room, and they gave him a book. And he's
But he
like,
also-
oh, shit!
But he knows the first spell of every book
Yeah,
that he's read.
nothing after.
else.
I kind of like the idea of making an artificer orc.
Oh, cool.
Okay? I like the idea that you can have this
They
guy...
give me the meth head vibes.
Well, yeah, I like the idea of more like a nutty professor or like a Doc Brown from Back to the Future kind of vibe. You know, the tinkery, like absent-minded, not stupid, but lapsing in judgment, not making the smartest decisions all the time, that kind of thing. I like that idea. I think that could be a lot of fun. Just like, again, real fish out of the water scenario.
Very true, very true.
For me, a bard.
Ooh.
Because I think it'd be hilarious.
Let me sing you the song!
It's an excellent, like, a cappella, like, all the way up the register. Really high speech.
So I will not be playing the orc bard.
No.
No, I can't. I can't.
You cannot play the Orc Bard. Unless, again, like, I feel like you would play the spoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dan could probably do a good orc bard.
I feel like if he was at the table today, he would have given us a build for an Orc Bard.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably already has several.
Somewhere.
The guitars are right there.
It's true.
He wrote me a song.
He
for
promised us all songs for that game, and he has not
Oh,
done that yet.
letting us down.
Yeah. Dan.
Jesus.
You should guys start posting on the Reddit about it.
Yeah. Dan, you need to write your players' songs.
Any final inspirations from everyone before we wrap it up here?
So much rich history. Use it. And, like, do the D&D history.
Yeah.
Forget the other history of, like, any other fantasy nonsense. Like, just, the D&D history is so rich. Just use it.
There is a lot. I mean, I was going through it today, and I looked in the player's handbook when I was looking at Half-Orcs. I was like, okay, there's not a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked to break down the orc stat block as well. There's not a lot there. But then I flipped back a page. I was like, well, no, there's a shit ton here. And then I started doing some Google searches and stuff, and like, there is so much. So
Yeah.
much.
I agree.
There was a thing I didn't even talk about, the Orc Gate War, I think it was. That's when the Grey Orcs came in. Like, there's whole wars and like a huge bundle of knowledge on these guys.
Yeah.
Do your research. They're actually like really fucking cool. They're one of the forgotten races I almost find when it comes to playable races.
Yeah.
Right? They're not in the core handbook. They're not on the forefront of everybody's mind. But when you think about fantasy settings, they're a staple.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I think they don't, get the appreciation that they deserve.
Yeah. Anyone who's done anything fantasy related knows that orcs are a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what history you're using.
Yeah.
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 Neat thing about orcs, the first time I ever used them in 5th edition, we were doing the Lost Mines of Fendelver, and I was DMing it, and there's a point where they come across an orc horde in a cave, and I think they've got an ogre with them or something.
Yeah.
And my rogue party member decided that he wanted to run in. He's like, oh, I'm going to dash in and see what's going on.
Of course.
Because we had a battle map, and he, metagamed the orcs are over here and I'm over here.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't know that the orcs had the aggressive trait. And they all moved in and they surrounded him, and that was my very first character death as a DM in 5th edition.
And you're like, sucker.
And
Yeah.
he was it was the same player who I killed previously in 3.5. And then I killed him again in Dungeon of the Mad Mage after that, and nobody had died in between. So this guy just gets the short end of it. He just got
rocked.
absolutely savaged by these orcs.
Feels like a bunch of bad decisions to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was absolutely the guys.
Do
There
better.
are repercussions to
Yeah.
your actions. It was like a 5-foot entrance to the cave, and they had a paladin. They could have just plugged the hole and just sent spells
Bottleneck
and
it,
arrows
yeah.
and stuff. But no, he got himself surrounded by like 8 orcs and an ogre. You're
Punched.
gonna have a bad time,
Yeah.
right?
Talking
And
that
you
good
used
shit.
your dash to go in.
Oh yeah, he wasn't within reach of anybody else. It
Yeah.
took them a couple of rounds to get to his
dead
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, he's down on the ground. I do try to play to what would make sense.
Yeah.
If there's a guy that goes down in a circle full of orcs, they're going to just keep cutting them until everybody else shows up.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Like, make sure it's dead. Tap twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. Sorry, friend.
Yeah, dead.
Moving on. Here's a character sheet.
Enjoy.
So that's all for our discussion on playable orcs in 5th edition. The next time we circle back to discussing playable races, we'll be looking at the long list of playable goblinoids. Next week, though, we'll be returning to our conversation on clerics, so make sure to subscribe and follow for more insights on player options.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website at www.itsamimic.com, as well as a store for some sexy merch. We also rely on word of mouth to get news of the podcast out there to the community. So please pass word to everyone you know that we're available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as most podcast apps. Thanks again for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. Okay, bye.
Bye.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Inquiries, requests, and questions for our mailbags can be sent to info@itsamimic.com.
Of the non-common races, so player handbook races, which one have you wanted to play but never have?
Like uncommon as in not often used?
Yeah,
Or
not
what do you
often
mean?
used. Not in the player's handbook, essentially. So
Okay.
like the base races.
Oh, Eric Cockra would be one that I would want to do.
Yeah, I think Turtle for me, like some of the
More
it's-
animalistic
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I like kind of leaning into those more for one-shots than anything else. When I'm building like a real character for a real campaign, I kind of want it to be a little more...
Grounded.
Something that
Yeah.
you know that you could pretend that you could do. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, if me pretending to be a bird on a regular basis just seems, just seems a little wild to me. Also, just because I feel like everything always has a weird different speech pattern. I think that's fun to play with.
Yeah. I think Eric Hoker or Kanku would be the two. Because Bird.
Yeah,
One
Kanku-
shot, though, I wouldn't play, as Dave said, I wouldn't play a proper character, but...
Yeah.
But that's what one-shots are for,
Yeah.
in my opinion, right? Like,
Well, I mean, you played rabbits. What are those called again?
I don't even remember.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the thing. It's like, I was like, yes, this is great for a one-shot, but, like, I would not play that forever.
No, gosh, no. Although, I mean, I am a Leonin in our other...
That's true.
Yeah.
But they're more humanoid than they are.
That's true. I think they make a
Lioness.
better cat person than a tabaxi as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Fair.
Agreed.
Meow.
Loving it.
Hold on. Okay.
Love it.
Orches.
Fortress Hyman.
So,
Havens and orchards.
Diamonds.
Let me sing you
No.
the song. Can't sing.
Just give him a second.
Ugh.
You good? You give it right?
Yeah. Great. I did it.
Did you? Good job, David.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad we did that.
Thanks for listening. Bye.